Okay, this is a 2002 Honda Odyssey subframe, and I'm going to show you how to replace all the bushings on it. Okay, if you can see, there's four bushings. There's this one on this corner, and there's going to be one on every corner. So this one, that one, and that one. Okay, if you'll notice, they all have these pads on it that you can easily take off. When you replace these bushings, I would replace these pads too. And OEM, they cost about $4 or $5 each. Okay, and here's another one. That's what the bottom looks like. And the tops have tabs on it. First thing that we need to do is mark down the orientation of each of these bushings, and to do that we're going to flip this thing upside down. Okay, you can see here that there's also things that look like pads on the opposite side, except the difference is these don't come off. They're connected to this bushing, I believe. So here's what another one looks like, and we're gonna mark down the orientation of these because it looks like they're in a specific order. Okay, it looks like the pattern for these bushings is, if you notice right here, there's an X and an O, and up here is also an O and an X. So what I believe is that for the ones on the back, because that's the front engine mount, so the ones in the back, the X and the O's, they basically line up right in the middle of this this metal tab here, and I don't think this metal tab comes up. Well, maybe it does, but basically it's pointed straight back, and what you can do is mark it with a whiteout marker, or just a regular whiteout in a can, and just mark it from here and here, and the same thing on this side. It looks like it's pointed straight back and straight ahead. So just mark a point here and here. And then for the front, they look a little different. They actually look like they're diagonal. But what I actually notice is, if you can see here, the X and the O, O and the X, they're pointed, this one is pointed straight in the middle of this hole. So you can make a mark there and here, and then this one looks like it's doing the same thing. So there's the X, and there's the O, OX, and it looks like it's pointed right in the center of this hole. Just a quick note, if the bottom or the top of your subframe is scratched up, or you want to give it extra protection like me, you're going to clean up all the grease on both sides, and then you're going to rough it up with Scotch-Brite. Not the green kind that you use for washing dishes. That's too rough. This is 07447. Get anything that's this consistency. It says very fine, This is what's used in the automotive for when you paint your car. They'll use this to scratch up your paint if they're going to paint over it. So if you don't have this, just find something that's really fine. I wouldn't recommend steel wool because you're going to leave a bunch of metal particles all over. So once you've got all the grease off, scuff it up and then go over it once again with brake cleaner to clean it all off, or lacquer thinner or anything that can clean the metal. Okay, for me, I just went ahead and used a pick to scratch in where the orientation is for these bushings, because I'm going to repaint this whole subframe anyways, just to give it some extra protection. So I scratched in at both sides and on this one too. For the ones up in front, I'll just remember that it points to the middle of this hole. Okay, now that we've got all the markings on there, we're gonna flip this thing back over. Okay, the tool that you'll need is this by Harbor Freight. You can get something that's just like this online somewhere, but this is the 3-piece 2-job puller set. They've got a one that's a 3-job puller, which I don't recommend because you might not be able to get all 3 fingers on there. So get the 2-job one. And so it comes with the 3-inch, 4-inch, and the one we're gonna use is the 6-inch one. Okay, when you first get this, all these bolts and nuts are gonna be tightened, so these things won't even move. So make sure you loosen all of these, and so that they can move freely at all 4 joints. And then next thing to do is get grease. You can use multi-purpose grease. In this case I use moly grease, and grease up the threaded part so that it's going to slide easy for us. Okay, the front one's going to be the easiest because it has this flange or this lip, whatever it's called, all around here, and that's where these jaws are going to grip onto. So you're going to put this on here, and this is going to go here. So once you've adjusted it so it can do this, you're just going to hand tighten it. And if you notice, this thing is actually crooked, so just make sure that you can get it kind of even. Okay, you can see that the jaws are even and they're not crooked. So just keep adjusting it till you get it even, because when you pull it, you want it even and not crooked. Okay, so for this end right here, it looks like it's not even metric, because an 18 will just barely not fit, and a 19 millimeter, it fits, but it's got a little bit of play. So since this is all I have right now, I'm going to use this. You can use a cheater pipe or a regular ratchet, and then you might need to put a 2-foot pipe on here as a cheater bar to get extra leverage. The tool that I'm actually going to use is this electric impact wrench, Porter cable, And I got this off Amazon. It was really cheap actually. It was like 60 bucks. So this model is PCE 211, and so it was about $60 or $70, which I think works great. It works on lug nuts and everything, so it's pretty strong. Okay, we're gonna actually use forward on this tool, and on your cheater or on your breaker bar, you're probably just gonna twist it clockwise to make this screw go down and push this bushing out. See, it's actually working. The nice thing about these bushings is all around it is actually rubber. It's just the friction of the rubber and its tight clearance is what's keeping that bushing into the subframe. So you can see that from the bottom, it's already being pushed out, and it looks like this lip right here is, this flange is actually metal, but surrounding it is just pure rubber. So I'll show you from the side of this bushing being pushed out. Okay, so there's the hole that it came out of, and it looks like the hole was actually painted. So it was painted the same paint as the subframe, it looks like. And so, yeah, what I was trying to say was, like, this flange or this lip, whatever, it's part of the subframe, so this part doesn't come out. And here's the actual bushing that we pushed out. We pushed out from up here, and I was actually wrong, sort of. This is metal, so this whole thing right here is metal on the outside, and then there's rubber on the inside. There's actually not that much rubber, but this outside piece right here, that's metal, and it's covered in a thin layer of rubber. So I'm guessing maybe that rubber is what's keeping the pressure in to hold this in place into the subframe. And so we pushed out here, and that's what it looks like. Here's a better look at the bushing. And you can see that it's slit. The metal piece is slit right here, and also on the opposite side, slit on the same opposite side. It's slit here too. Okay, this is the location that you need to put the jaws on, right here and right here, to get the ones in the back off. So don't try to put the jaw here, because it won't push down straight. So right here and right here. Okay, I'm going to show you once again, right here and right there. So not here. I'm going to show you one more time for the front. So it's just like that at that side of the lip, and right there. How you would get it back on is for this front one, like I said, it's gonna point into the middle of this hole. So first thing is make sure that it's orientated the right way, because it's not gonna go in this way, it's gonna go in this way. It's only basically one way, and you should be able to figure it out pretty easy. So that hole should be lined up with this notch here, this groove here. And I really don't think that it matters if you do it this way or you do it this way. I think it's identical. So for us, it's gonna be, see, there's the groove or the notch. It's gonna point that way, and we're gonna put it from underneath and we're gonna push it through. And one thing I noticed is this notch for the X and the O's actually match up with this slit on the sleeve on the inside, so that helps a lot. Okay, I'm kind of tired, so I'm not gonna flip this over to show you. But basically, it's the same exact setup, except we're gonna be pushing on the bushing from the opposite side, the one with the lip on it. So we're gonna be pushing it up into the subframe. So the jaw is gonna be like that, and this end right here is gonna be pushing on this part right here, and it's just gonna push it straight up into the subframe. So this setup's gonna work a whole lot better if you flip this subframe over, but since I'm kind of tired, I'm just gonna show you the setup upside down. So there's a bushing. Make sure that the notch is lined up with the hole here, and then the jaw's gonna, instead of when we push it out, it was touching the bottom. Now it's touching the top on both sides. Here's the bushing. The screw is pushed up on the center of the bushing where the metal part is, and it should line up with here, and you can see the teeth are right here and right there. And so all you should have to do is just turn this the same way, which is clockwise, if you're looking at it from the right angle, and it should push that screw and that bushing straight up and back into place. Okay, just to mention, when I looked at the rubber on these bushings, they actually seem okay. This is a 2002 Odyssey, and it's almost November 2018, so that's what, like 16 years. These bushings actually still look okay. They're gonna cost about $20 each, plus about $5 for the little rubber isolator pads that go on top. So it's like 25 bucks each times 4. That's about $100. If you want to save 100 bucks, go ahead and skip it. But I mean, it was really hard getting the subframe out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So now that I showed you, I also explained that you should probably paint the whole subframe, not for like aesthetics, not for looks, but just basically to protect the whole thing from salt or corrosion. That's the main reason. So that's it. Good luck.